and welcome to the Ravenous, we're a comedy news podcast bringing you the latest and greatest hits from the Thunderdome and post-apocalyptic Outback Australia. My name's Chris Bolson.
And I'm Alison Hoare, and this is our second take of the day because I realised for the first 5 minutes we were recording, I was recording on my built-in microphone.
Someone goofed it up.
Which would have made my audio worse than usual.
Yeah.
Speaking of which...
Yeah.
I have a whole nest of baby birds on my balcony, which recently hatched, which is very cute, but also they're very noisy because they do tweet a lot asking for their mum to come and feed them.
You couldn't have moved to, like, a bunker in Alaska or something. You had to move to one of the loudest cities on Earth. It's extremely frustrating
the
for me.
The irony is... On Saturday morning, it's usually a lot more quiet outside than it is on any of the weekday nights. Because on the weekday nights, every child in the world is running up and down the street on their bicycles. And there's also a million
Alison,
motorcycles.
can I just... You can't run on a bicycle, Alison.
Well, you can when you're running next to your bicycle.
Okay,
because
well, that
it's
makes more
up
sense.
a hill. And you ride your bicycle down the hill. And then you run the bicycle up the hill.
I walk the bicycle up the hill, but yes, the principle is the same.
That's how I ride a bike too, which is why I haven't gotten into riding to get to places, because I know I'll end up walking most of the way.
I used to ride my bike home from work. Well, I say my bike. I no longer have it because it was stolen. But I used to ride it home from work, and there would be this, like, great cycleway, highway thing, and there'd be this big hill at the end of it. And I'd see all of the other big strong boys just, like, power up that hill.
Just cruising on up.
I get about a third of the way up there and go, actually, fuck this, and get off the bike and just walk the rest of it.
And then you just leave the bike at the bottom of the hill, locked to the side, so you can get it next time.
And that's how it was stolen. So, also, my apologies for my audio thing. I'll try and edit out as much as possible, but I'm still sick, so there may be sniffles. I had a cold last week, and then I went to the snow, and, that did not help. So here we are.
Here we are. But I do enjoy how in Australia we can just say we went to the snow and it's clear exactly where you went because there is only approximately one place that has actual snow.
Well, there's like 3 places, but they're all within about 20 kilometres of each other.
Whereas in any other country where there's snow in more than one place, if you say you went to the snow, it would sound quite weird.
I think it's actually more accurate for me to say that I went to the ice or the slush or the slurry because I wore the wrong shoes. I just wore these boots that I have that are just like flat-soled, and they had 0% grip on the icy ground.
Oh, that's fun.
So
that's a really nice experience.
Yeah, so I just kind of spent my time like impromptu ice skating around these like... roads, and that was super cool and fun.
The one time I have experienced snow was when I was trekking in Nepal, and I was wearing very good boots, but it still didn't effectively stand on ice.
No, nothing stands on ice. It's weird how that works.
And I remember there was this one slope which was quite steep, and it was covered in ice, and the preferable option for me at that point, because I fell over and I couldn't be bothered trying to walk, was I just, made my way down by sliding down on my bum, down the ice slope, and it was a very effective way to get down the hill.
Well, that's kind of like a prototype snowboard right there. It's just a butt.
Exactly.
That's all a snowboard really is. It's just they take your butt and they move it, onto your feet. It's the same principle.
Because here's the thing. When I slipped and I fell down and I, hit my butt, it was quite painful. So I figured... well, if I'm going to fall over anyway and it will be painful, how about I just slide?
Well, that's very much my main, skiing methodology is I see how much butt-to-ground contact and at what speed can I get butt-to-ground contact, going on.
Sure.
How fast can I go before the butt hits the ground and I slide down the rest of the mountain?
Before I give up and I decide to just slide down.
Well, it's not intentional, but it does happen.
Sure.
Do you have a story for us, Alison?
Yeah, let's get into... I actually have a lot of stories left over from last week, so some of my stories are quite old. But how about we start with a recent story from the region that I'm in, from Southeast Asia.
Oh, my God.
Oh, my God, indeed. So I've got a story from the Bangkok Post in Thailand.
I love that they're all still called the Post. I just like that that's universal.
Everything's called the Post.
Yeah.
I wrote for the Jakarta Post. This is the Bangkok Post. And you know what's great, though?
The Meryl
Post
Streep
seems
film,
to be
The Post.
the many English language newspapers in these countries are called The Post. So maybe they just assume that you just call your newspaper The Post if it's in English.
If I ever become a Richmond, I will call a Richmond. I'm going to call my newspaper the Chris Bolson official newspaper, not the Post, because I want it to do exactly what it says on the box, and I want everyone to know that it is my propaganda.
Yeah, sure. Like instead of being, the good boy in Australia who owns everything. Rupert
That's
Murdoch.
also a good title for a newspaper, actually.
The good boy.
The good boy who owns everything, TM.
Instead of being him and buying the URL news.com.au, which implies that is the news of Australia, you will just say Chris Bolson's propaganda news outlet.com.au.
Oh, actually, I'm going to call it The Good Post.
The Good Post.
The Good Post.
The Good
Just
Boy
because
Post, and then be a very serious newspaper.
Well, I think it'll be called The Good Boy Post at first, but then it'll get accused of that's a sexist name, and it'll become The Good Post, and then it's just like all the other posts, but ours is the good one.
Yeah, and then people have to acknowledge that it is The Good Post.
I'm just going to see if that URL is taken very quick.
Before your media empire starts.
TheGoodPost.com is loading slowly, which is a good sign.
Yeah.
Well, this is audio poison. I'll try this after the recording. Please proceed with your story.
Okay, so this is the story I found in the Bangkok Post. It says, 32 rubber ducks found in pet bulldog's stomach. By the way, I should mention before we even start, the dog is alive and well.
Okay.
So, before we even start this and people get worried about the dog's health, the dog is okay. Which I feel like is more alarming considering what we just heard in the headline.
Alison, if I want to buy goodpost.com, it costs $42,000.
That's a lot of money.
It's a lot. Let's see if I can just add a "the" to the start of it, if that lowers that fee a little bit.
Why is the fee so high?
Thegoodpost.com.au is $15.
Okay. That's a more reasonable price than $42,000.
Thegoodpost.online is $1.46. Oh, wait. Thegood.com.au. That's $15. Oh, that's very good.
Ooh.
There's a lot of good options. Anyway, please continue.
The good.
The dog ate a bunch of rubber ducks.
Yeah, and so the picture that's included is all of the rubber ducks that were eaten by the dog in a big bathtub, which had been washed by the veterinarian after they were removed, just in case you want to take them home as a souvenir.
All right, so there's a few different ways that you can get a rubber duck out of a dog. Does this story explain what that methodology was? Or?
Yeah, it goes into it. I think the dog... Yeah. We'll talk about this. So I'll read the story. A Pattaya veterinarian has warned dog lovers to stop buying toy ducks for their pets to play with after removing 32 small rubber duckies from an ailing bulldog's stomach.
Oh, poor Bob.
How does this happen?
He doesn't know he can't digest plastic. God didn't intend for us to make plastic.
The dog eats one and is like, that didn't feel too good.
Let's do it again.
Let's try again. Maybe that one was just had a problem, Maybe the other ones would be as delicious as they look.
But I mean, I get it. I feel like most food with any amount of oil causes my stomach to transform into a hellscape, and yet I continue to eat it because it's just so good, even though the consequences are regrettable. So if it's a tasty rubber duck, I totally get it.
I mean, personally, I wouldn't be eating a rubber duck, but that's just because, I am a rubber vegan. I only eat non-animal products that are made of rubber.
Yeah, but you've got to think that this dog is genetically dogs are carnivores, so
sure.
it sees duck and it thinks, yum, that's my lunch. And
it sees duck that doesn't smell like duck, and the dog's like, my sense of smell must be getting bad because these sure do look like a delicious duck.
Yeah, so it looks at duck and it smells it, and it's like, I guess I'm getting old. I will still eat duck though, because you don't get duck that often.
And then I will eat 31 more after I finish the first one.
Duck is well, that's because it was a pretty small duck. It's not as big as a regular duck, so like
Sure.
you've really got to eat a lot of them. It's like when you eat a little biscuit instead of a big biscuit, you've got to eat more of them.
Yeah,
That's just how
exactly.
it works.
Or when you get like a small portion at the buffet, you've got to go get like 20 portions.
Yes.
Yeah, exactly.
My lifestyle's really healthy.
So let's continue. It said, the warning, together with a video, was posted on the Mormoy Pattaya Ban Morak Sat Facebook page, which is the name of the veterinarian clinic.
Okay.
It was not the first time I've had to perform surgery to remove toy ducks from a dog's stomach.
Oh no! It's an epidemic.
It is an epidemic. Warning to everyone out there, don't give your dogs toy ducks. They will eat them and they will love it.
Well, I mean, it makes sense if you give them a thing that looks like food but isn't food. A dog is not famously an intelligent creature.
No.
Like, what do you think's going to happen?
No, here's the thing is, because it goes on to clarify that this is the highest number of rubber ducks I have ever had to remove, which I'm glad that there isn't more than 32 ducks inside a dog's stomach, because that sounds like 32 sounds like enough,
I feel like the next lowest one was like 29 though, like it was close.
It's close, yeah. The owner of Davil, Davil is the name of the dog, phoned me yesterday saying she wanted her pet x-rayed to see how many more toy ducks were in his stomach after Davil vomited up 5 of them, the post said. So the dog didn't eat 32, he ate 37. 37 ducks.
You're a fucking beast.
Yeah.
Oh, you should enter plastic eating competitions, Davil.
Exactly.
You can battle out against the turtles and just like see who can munch the most.
This is the last part of what the vet said. It said, the x-ray showed that his stomach was so full of toy ducks that I could not tell exactly how many.
Oh, no.
No, indeed.
Well, it was like, did you read that story about the woman who ate so much bubble tea that she had what just kind of looked like a radioactive blob inside her stomach that had to get removed
Chris,
surgically?
I'm afraid that that's what is inside my body as we speak.
Okay, it does. I saw an image of the blob, and it does look like this large piece of radioactive waste that exists at Chernobyl. It was just like a big black, like lump of nothingness and death.
I drank a lot of bubble tea when I was trying to complete my final project for my master's degree. Like every time I went into the editing studio, I drank like a huge one just to get me through, the whole situation of trying to edit and also having existential crises about what am I going to do when I finish my degree. So you need a large bubble tea to get through that.
So it turns out bubbles in bubble tea are not, strictly speaking, digestible.
I would say they're probably mostly digestible because it is made of like tapioca starch.
This woman's insides would disagree.
I feel like if you drank a lot in a short period of time, it probably would not be that easy to digest.
5 of them in a day, I think, and then it
doesn't sound ideal to have 5 in a day.
Sort of congealed into a sludge.
Yeah,
but it's like
also apparently some people have problems digesting starch. So I feel like if you have a problem digesting starch, you shouldn't eat something which is essentially starch and sugar, and then proceed to drink 5 more of them.
If she ever eats like a potato, that's just going to turn into concrete in her stomach.
Yeah, exactly.
That'll never come out.
Isn't that lovely?
Yeah.
I'm just going to keep reading this dog story because it's less of a... I'm not going to personally eat rubber ducks. I eat a lot of bubble tea, so I don't want to think about the fact that maybe there's a lot of bubbles inside my stomach right now.
You should get an x-ray.
I should get an x-ray, and then they'll find that there's at least 4 rubber ducks in there and a lot of bubble tea. Bubbles.
But you didn't put the rubber ducks in there, so where are they coming from? Maybe the bubble tea...
That's where they come from.
The bubble tea is forming into duck shapes. That's the final evolution of bubbles.
They do the x-ray.
Is duck.
Yeah, the little little bubbles hatch, and inside each of them there's a baby rubber duck that grows up in your
There's
stomach.
a little civilization, a small metropolis in your stomach. And the doctor says, and this is the weirdest bit, the duck here, it's holding up a sign that says they want to unionize the intestine. It's very confusing.
Yeah, like the Amazon workers, hey, who have now taken to Twitter to talk about how great their jobs are.
Yeah.
Which, with these really absolutely not sound like they're forced at all posts. But I'm going to continue reading the dog story.
Everybody subscribe to audible.com.
Audible is today's sponsor. You can download one free book on Audible with my special code.
Fuck Bezos.
So the vet said she told the woman she would have to operate to remove the toys before they moved into the animal's intestine, and a date was set. A total of 32
Oh my
rubber
God, it's a
toy...
day.
Yeah, it's a day. A total of 32 rubber toy ducks and 2 pieces of green rubber, likely from rubber balls, and some toy rubber snacks were removed.
Can you imagine if she was like into the vet and she was like, oh my God, it is kind of like a date. He's going to get to hang out with me and my dog. And by the time about the 10th rubber duck came out, he was just looking at her like, what the fuck? And she was just like, this date's not going very well.
This is not ideal. As she watched the filthy, half, like, covered in stomach acid ducks be removed from her dog, she's like, this isn't very romantic.
After the 20th one, she was just like, you're not coming back to my place after this, are you?
This is not sexy. Nothing about this situation is sexy.
Yeah, pull that rubber duck out of my dog's stomach.
This poor bulldog.
Someone
the bulldog
has
is
a
a pretty
fetish for
big
that out
boy.
there.
He's a pretty big boy. He's a 50-kilo bulldog.
So is this like, did they surgery the dog, or did they?
Yeah, they used surgery to cut open the dog
right.
to remove the rubber ducks. But he recovered well from the surgery.
That's good.
And yeah, I guess.
And he feels so much lighter now because he doesn't have a kilo of rubber ducks inside.
He doesn't have a lot of rubber ducks in his stomach. But like, I don't know how much space 32 rubber ducks takes up. But it seems to be taking up like the whole sink in this picture. Were they like all squished into his stomach?
I mean, if you do... I feel like most of rubber duck is taken up by air. They're not very space efficient things. It's like... If it could get smushed down, then I think you could make them pretty space efficient, but I doubt that'd happen inside poor doggo's stomach.
I don't know. Anyway, the good doggo is okay. And I was really curious about how this situation happened. Like, how did the dog get access to 32 rubber ducks? And then I found another article, which was... I believe it was the 10 Daily version of this, which came from the Bangkok Post. So I went back to the original source. But the 10 Daily one, they've updated with the fact that the woman had bought a pack of 50 rubber ducks, which she intended to put in her swimming pool. And the dog got into the pack and just started chowing down on those little good boys. Which I feel like made more sense to me than every time the dog eats the rubber duck, the girl just buys a new one. I'm glad
I like that a lot, actually. I like the idea that the rubber ducks just keep disappearing. She keeps getting new ones. She has no idea where they've gone. But she needs one. So she
just needs a rubber duck.
hundreds of dollars on rubber ducks.
See, that's a funnier story. But also it's more of a sad tale for this poor dog's welfare than just this dog chowing down on 37 rubber ducks, I should say, in one sitting. It makes me feel more confident that this dog, Davil, is unlikely to encounter this situation again.
No. Davil has learnt his lesson.
He's learned his lesson.
Can I bring you a Kickstarter, please?
Sure.
So this is one called the, and this is all caps, Microblade Pill TM, Tiny Cutting Tool.
Okay. So it's a knife, because when I heard pill, I was like, is this something you eat? And I'm glad it's not.
No, I would not. I would definitely not eat this.
Okay, that's good to hear.
The Microblade Pill is made to ease your everyday carry. This tiny cutting tool can easily cut, open, scratch, peel off, and do these small everyday tasks without creating a bulk in your pocket.
Okay.
What this is a small metallic capsule that looks like a tablet, like a Panadol capsule or something like that. But when you pull one half of it off, there's a very tiny knife underneath it.
This does not sound like a safe thing to exist.
No, it does not. It sounds like you could... The actual blade itself, I think, is like 0.5 centimeter long, so you could, like, very shallowly shiv someone with this.
You could shiv someone a lot, so
Like-
they bleed out.
There's a picture of someone holding it, like, super close up, and the knife itself is smaller than one of their, like, fingernails.
Ugh. Why does this exist?
That's an excellent question, Alison, and that question will not be answered.
It's like, I can't think of... Okay, they want to say, okay, you can cut things. Cut what? Like a single green pea?
They provide some just excellent examples
Okay.
of things that you can cut. So, save space in your pockets. We made the microblade pill as tiny as possible. Convenience is everything. In our busy lifestyle, convenience is everything. As you receive a parcel, you start looking for a knife or some other sharp object you could use to open the box. Often it just takes too much effort. That's not my experience.
Usually I just kind of stab it with my keys or a pen or anything,
Keys,
and then...
or like, I live in a small apartment, so usually like I'm opening the box in the kitchen anyway, so like
Well,
I can just get a
my
knife.
current apartment is one room, so kind of everything I need is already in the room.
Often it just takes too much effort. With Microblade Pill, you can forget about spending your time on searching for the blade. Also, if your kitchen is in any way organised, you should know where the fucking knives are.
I also feel like, okay, this little microblade pill would be harder to find than a regular knife because it's so small.
Well, the idea is you're supposed to keep it on your keyring, so you're supposed to keep this small knife in your pocket at all times.
Okay, so if you've got your keys, then you can just use the keys to open the package.
I mean, if you're a loser, you can do that.
Yeah, if you're not cool. If
you're
you're
a
not like
chump.
techie, you know. You're just one of those everyday people. You're not like a Silicon Valley tech bro.
Well,
You
this is Alison, the perfect unboxing tool. So if you want to start one of those YouTube channels, this is the thing to buy to do it.
Oh, okay, that's good. That's good. They've got their demographic already picked out, and it's people who open packages on camera and have far too much money, which I feel like is a good demographic to target with your shitty products.
Yeah. Either you want to keep it in your pocket or next to your keys. The Microblade Pill will fit your lifestyle perfectly. That should have been 2 sentences, not one. And then this is bolded. It will always be there when you need it.
I don't want it to always be there, Chris.
You don't want the knife to always be there, Alison? What's wrong with you? So,
you're in the bathroom and you're just, comfortably enjoying your movement, and then you peek over your shoulder and the knife is just sitting there, open. You didn't put it there, it's just there.
Annabelle, the third one, the knife.
And then you head out to your door, and then before you're about to step on the welcome mat outside your room, you see the knife is there.
See,
waiting.
I was thinking you open the door and it sort of drops off the front of the door frame and just like plinks on the ground in front of your feet, and you're just like, oh my god, it's so close to me. What do I do? Do I move? Do I go past it? Do I run away?
Do I close the door and go back inside, or will it follow?
It'll
will
definitely
it go
follow
under
you.
the door?
So, we designed the blade at a 35-degree bevel angle. It makes the blade sharp enough to cut with confidence. And they've then added a GIF of several things you can do with this very small knife. So there's opening a box, there's slicing a sheet of paper with a ruler, there's they've got a plastic bottle, and they're just kind of like cutting it open. Just like slicing top to...
Yeah. I often want to just cut open a plastic bottle.
Just like disemboweling a plastic bottle.
Yeah.
There's opening some mail, something you can do with your hands.
Well, look, if I knew you could cut open a plastic bottle, I would have not ripped on this product because it sounds very useful.
They're doing a scratchy, something that we should all spend more money and time doing, and you can also do with a
gambling,
coin.
it's good spend of your money.
And then my favourite one, they've sliced a pill in half. There's a little capsule that looks a lot like an ecstasy tablet that they've sliced in half. And I think that's actually probably the most viable use for this thing, is a little knife that you can take to music festivals discreetly to cut up your drugs. This is like the main reason I would think a person would own this.
Yeah, sure.
So The 35-degree cutting angle not only makes the blade sharp enough to cut paper, but also safe for touch. It is reliable when you use it. And then there's a little gif of someone repeatedly slicing their fingertip over and over, and it's not cutting their finger, which I don't understand the physics of because I'm no scientist, but it's scaring the shit out of me watching it. Because I've just seen
it's
this
like,
tiny...
you know those people who have, like, who when they see a candle, they feel that thing to, like, you know, wipe their finger over the top of the flame, like, look, it's not burning me.
And I'm like, it hurts though. I don't like it. I don't know why you would do it.
Yeah.
That's pretty much all there is to the microblade pill. But I just want to sort of get into... I want you to guess how much was backed to this. And this is in pounds.
It's always a lot of... It's always a ridiculous amount of money.
If you could guess in pounds, that would be really good.
Pounds sterling?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. 500,000 pounds.
This is the first time you've ever overestimated. It's only 133,718,000 pounds.
That's still too much.
Still 130 grand for this tiny pill knife.
It's still a lot, yeah.
It is. Do you have another story for me, please, Alison?
Yeah, I'm just seeing what we want to get into here. Because I've got a lot of stories. Okay, hang on. I'm going to save these two for the end because that's just the headline. So that's a later one. All right. Let's get into a bit of crime, shall we? Oh,
I love crime.
Crime is something that the blade pill could be very useful for.
I endorse crime.
Yeah. And I'm heading over to the USA for this one. Actually, I don't think any of my stories are Australian this week, unfortunately.
You unpatriotic traitor.
I know. I've got there's a couple from Australia, but they might not get used because they're not the best stories I have this week.
I feel you.
This one's from America, though, and it is quite a great story.
Oh, yes.
And I'm reading from...
They do get into some wacky shenanigans over there.
Well, this is in Philadelphia as well.
Oh, the best.
Oh, wait, no, it's not in Philadelphia. I'm just reading from the news outlet from Philadelphia for some reason.
Not as good, but I'll take it.
No, it's not great. I was just like, oh, this is very cool, because everything I know about Philadelphia I learnt from It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia.
Yeah, I'm aware.
Which is my only knowledge about... and that movie, Philadelphia.
Basically a documentary. So.
Yeah, it is essentially a documentary, like all sitcoms are. But I'm reading from ABC News, Philadelphia. That's ABC, American Broadcasting Corporation, not Australian Broadcasting Corporation.
I'm still mad. When I first ever heard that there was an American company called ABC, I was like, those fuckers took our name. How dare they? And I got so mad about it. And
remember when Donald Trump accidentally atted ABC News Australia instead of ABC News America when he wanted to roast them?
I don't, but that's very funny.
It's a very on-brand thing for him to do.
I did, however, learn that ABC produces The Bachelor, so unfortunately I do have to...
You do have to rescind your criticism.
Yeah.
So this is the story. The headline says, man wearing TV on head caught on camera leaving old TVs on Virginia front porches.
That's a dense headline.
There's a lot going on there.
There is. Man wearing TV on head.
Yeah.
I'm imagining like a Silent Hill villain that's just like a very slow, shambling zombie man with like an old CRT, like your old TV.
Yeah, my old TV.
A head. That
yeah, well, you're kind of imagining the right thing.
And if he comes close to you, he peels you apart with his bare hands. With his
I don't think this
pill.
guy peels you apart. He just wants to leave the televisions on your front porch. So the picture, there's a video attached of the culprit in question, and he appears to be wearing like a full body jumpsuit and indeed an old CRT TV on his head. And he is, in fact, putting an old TV on the front porch of the house.
Oh, so he's just giving people TVs.
He sure is.
Oh, okay. This is interesting. So it's like a TV Santa situation.
Yeah, it's like a Santa Claus.
The TV Claus.
It's definitely some kind of performing art thing. I don't know. It just sounds like something, but it is a very funny story.
I like the idea that this is a guerrilla marketing campaign. So this is actually like Samsung Claus, who's just going around advertising TVs for Samsung to random people.
But actually,
by just giving them to them.
this marketing campaign has been in the works for so long, just for so long, that already the technology's changed so much.
Yeah, they didn't have an approval. He was like, can we maybe give one of these like brand new spanking 4K TVs? And they were like, no, it is the one from 1996. We do have a warehouse
It's
still
like,
full
look,
of them. So
this campaign was designed for this TV, so we can't bring another TV into it. It's just how it works.
Actually, wait, they tried to replace it with like a 60-inch flat screen, but it turns out that they couldn't get that to fit around his head. He just became flathead.
It's too flat.
And unfortunately, Flathead, there was a lot of logistical problems with Flathead. Firstly,
he was a fish.
He was a fish. But Flathead couldn't fit through doorways because like, he'd have to turn to the side or his head would shatter.
Yeah.
Just like, because he's 60 inches
really not
wide.
great.
That's wider than most door frames.
Now, did you ever read the book Flat Stanley as a child?
I did not. Does it have Flathead in it?
Well, Flat Stanley is a boy who is flat because something fell on him while he was in his bed and it squashed him flat.
What? That exists?
It's a series of books. Flat Stanley, and Flat Stanley is flat.
Oh, I thought I was ahead of the curve with Flathead, but
Flat
it turns out
Stanley
that I
fell
got
asleep
nothing.
in his bed, and I think it was like a pinboard or something, fell down on him and crushed him flat. And the doctor said, well, Flat Stanley is alive, but now he is a flat 2D boy living in this 3D world.
A few immediate questions. One, did he become wider or did it just compress?
No, I think he was just compressed.
Okay, when he poops, does it look like a receipt coming out of an FPOS machine?
Personally, I don't think they included the Flat Stanley uses the toilet scenes.
Well, that's
but
unfortunate
you can go right
that's
ahead
exactly,
and Google Flat Stanley.
That's exactly how I think it would look, as like a sheet of brown paper, just sort of like trickling out.
I don't know if Flat Stanley is like a famous thing or if it's just something that was in my house as a child.
I've heard the name before, but I didn't know what it was.
Flat Stanley.
Flat Stanley.
Stanley is an American children's book written by Jeff Brown. And between 1926... Jeff Brown lived between 1926 and December 3rd, 2003.
I thought maybe it was just a derogatory term for people who are called Stanley who are kind of boring to be around.
Well, yeah, that is a Flat Stanley, but this is a different Flat Stanley. Oh, they've got updated Flat Stanley illustrations as well.
I think that they should make a sequel series where they incept further and further and it becomes like Line Stanley and he's just one-dimensional.
Because he goes to lay down in bed and he gets crushed by the same thing.
Or you can go the other direction and have four-dimensional Time Stanley who exists always.
Oh, Stanley. So, shall I go back to the story?
Yeah, well.
Google Flat Stanley if you don't know it. It's an incredible, touching, moving piece of literature. He does mail himself to somewhere, which is something we've all wanted to do.
Just so he can fold himself up very small.
Yeah, he can fold himself up because he's like a sheet of paper.
That's fucking amazing. Okay, surely he would just fall over because he doesn't have bones.
Well, perhaps. I'm going to read the rest of this story. I'm going to read any of this story because we just talked about the headline.
Are you sure?
Because
I feel like I just want to dissect Flat Stanley for the next 30 minutes.
Spend an hour making a Flat Stanley fan cast.
I see no problem with
Stancast.
that. No, it's okay. Tell me your story.
Let's get into the story. So residents living in a Virginia neighbourhood woke up to find free televisions on their doorsteps. It sounds like a great gift until you see the older box sets left at the homes. He's committed to his trade, said homeowner Jim Brooksbank. No need to adjust that dial. Doorbell surveillance cameras captured with a man on the TV set over his head, laying an older set down on someone's front porch and just walking off.
That's a fun contrast of levels of technology, is the Bluetooth security camera over someone's door just watches the man put down the TV from the 1980s.
Perhaps that's the meaning.
Maybe that is the art.
That's the art. You've just worked out the art here.
Does that mean I'm the art?
Well, we are part of the art because we are interpreting the art. And I feel like you have got the objectively correct interpretation of this art.
Of the art.
Of the art.
Yeah.
This article is really weirdly written, by the way. He wants to be known as the TV Santa Claus. I don't know. Brooksbank told WTVR-TV. The bizarre discovery happened on Sunday morning in Henrico's Hampshire neighbourhood. Outdated boxes were found at more than 50 homes.
I do like this idea, though, of giving people old shit that they don't want, but you can't complain about it. Like, it's like if I was doing a phone giveaway and it turned out the phone was like a Nokia 3330. Like,
yeah.
It was like a little orange.
They can't complain because you're giving it to them for free.
But the thing that I'm giving them is functionally useless and has a value of about $12.
Yeah.
Like, it's
but
an
they
antique.
don't, they don't know that when they show up. They're like, oh, free phone giveaway. And they go all the way there to be given these Nokia 3310s. And, because it's free, they can't complain. So they're just awkwardly like, oh, thanks.
I like this idea, actually, of doing that, but, like, you know how sometimes if a friend is buying a new something, they'll be like, oh, do you want to buy my old one of something? Or do you want the old one of something? I want to do that, where I'll be like, oh, I'm just getting a new laptop. Do you want my old laptop? And it'll be like a PowerBook from 2002 that will be completely non-functional. But
yeah.
And I'll get really
annoyed.
I'll get really annoyed if they don't say thank you as well.
If they just kind of look at it and... I mean, I had someone on our local Facebook page asking for, like, old laptops and stuff because they wanted to do a kids' project where they pulled apart the laptops at their school. And I'm like, yeah, sure, you can have these 4 laptops that are all incredibly broken and none of which work. And the person was indeed thankful for that. So I feel like I found the right market to give away my old laptops to.
Yeah,
but at the same time, I was kind of worried that she would try and turn on the laptop and then see it wouldn't work and then be like, oh, I don't want this.
Oh, okay.
But she did,
Not that you were worried she would turn the laptop on and find all of your nasty secrets that you had.
Yeah, all of my nasty secrets, like all of the pirated anime that was on one of those laptops.
That is maybe the most on-brand thing you've ever said.
Because I think it was my laptop I had when I was in my undergrad degree. And I did watch a lot of pirated anime at that point in time, so... Maybe they found that and are enjoying that, I would hope.
Do you pay for your anime now?
I don't watch anime that much now.
Oh, you've grown. So now you steal other content instead.
Well, actually I watch it on Netflix.
Oh, okay, that is better.
Which is a subscription. But piracy is very easy here because no pirate websites are blocked.
Oh, that would be good.
A lot of other websites are blocked, but pirate websites are free to run. So, you can just open any pirate website and just click and play a video like YouTube.
Well, I'm glad
it's a very fun process.
Got their priorities straight. That's cool.
Exactly. Yeah, blocking crimes, but not blocking a crime that is less... the crime that literally everyone partakes in, probably including the lawmakers, and so they don't want to block that.
Yeah.
So let's continue. Let's keep going down. Henrico police are tuned into the situation. They have security camera video from multiple neighbours, but think it's only a prank targeting no one in particular. At most, this seems to be more... Sorry, there was a really loud motorcycle.
That's given me an idea for another quick distraction from the topic at hand, which is that I love the idea that the police, if you go to them with a crime, they'll be like, oh, that's just a prank. That's just all... If you're like,
it's just a prank, bro.
Someone smashed all of the windows in my house, and they'll be like, oh, that's a funny prank, bro.
It's a prank, bro. Just watch YouTube, it'll pop up later, I'm sure.
My husband has been kidnapped. I don't know where he is. It's like, oh, that's hilarious. I wonder who did that to you.
Oh, that's great. That's like you get stabbed and you walk in there.
Are there cameras
and then
around?
there's blood dripping down from the knife wound, and you're like, officer, this man just stabbed me. And it's like, oh, that looks so real.
That looks fucking sick.
Gnarly. Oh, how did they get the blood to look so real?
Can I talk to your makeup guy? That's so good.
Oh, brutal, mate. Let's get a selfie. And then you just drop dead because you've lost a lot of blood. But
the corpse falls down and they just say, like and subscribe as their last words.
But according to the police, the only real crime committed here, in this case, was illegal dumping. So,
that sounds like the public shitting people again.
It does sound like the public shitting. Like the poo jogger.
Poo jogger, yeah.
Bring back the pooch. That was a great time in the Australian news cycle.
It was
when everything was focused on the pooch.
Do you remember when you'd look at the news and you'd feel like, haha, not like tears? What a good time that was back in the day.
What a good time it was when, like, the biggest news in Australia was the poo jogger.
Oh, I miss those innocent days.
Now, there's not really much else to this story because all it is a guy was putting old TVs on people's doorsteps and walking away whilst wearing a TV on his head. And I'd like to say, you know, good on him. He's found his passion.
Respect.
It's not technically illegal in most ways. It's just quite inconvenient.
Can I bring you... This isn't really a story, but this is a letter to the editor in the Canberra Times.
Okay. I'm ready.
The title they've given this letter is The Owl, the Insect, and the Girders Have to Go. Having recently returned to Canberra after an absence of 15 years, I was fascinated by the public art pieces now scattered around the landscape.
Oh, this person hates art.
They genuinely do.
I can already get that sense.
Those I have seen, I believe, demean a city which used to project dignity and thoughtful intelligence.
When did Canberra reflect dignity and thoughtful intelligence?
Literally never.
I don't think any of our elected officials, well, some of them. I'm not roasting all politicians here, but I don't think the majority of our elected officials reflect dignity and thoughtful intelligence most of the time.
It's not the words I would use.
No, not for a lot of them, yeah.
The owl on Benjamin Way seems a strange choice, but if it is to be displayed, surely a more appropriate place for this symbol of wisdom might be...
Is this the famed owl that kind of looks a bit like a penis, and that's why people know about the owl? Okay, sure.
The owl, it is the dick owl.
Because we have mentioned the dick owl on this podcast before, I believe.
That is not her point of contention with this.
So she doesn't have a problem with the fact it looks like a penis?
I actually don't think she knows that it looks like a penis.
Okay. She doesn't understand the true meaning behind that art.
Or she's being very subversive, because she says that surely a more appropriate place for this symbol of wisdom might be to place it in the Parliament Circle. Or perhaps even more appropriately in one of the university zones. Which I think would be appropriate, but for different reasons for the ones that she thinks.
Yeah, maybe. I think, no, like, hearing that sentence after we clarified that it was a dick owl, I think was more powerful.
Yeah.
Because now we...
She did accidental satire, which I adore.
Yeah, that's great. Love it.
The cluster of scattered metal girders on Gungahlin Drive looks like a cluster of scattered metal girders. Are they meant to symbolise chaos? Their haphazard placements certainly might suggest this.
Oh, actually, that one wasn't an art piece. They just kind of left those there.
That was just some construction that fell over, and they just haven't... No one cleans them up.
This woman walks past literally anything that's ugly. Like, she walks past someone's left their, like, you know, half-drunk thing of bubble tea on the side of the road, and she's like, oh, disgusting. Artists these days have no talent.
Filth.
She thinks everything is art, but at the same time really hates art.
Another strange choice is the yellow and orange creature on Drakeford Drive. Is it some sort of crawling insect like a mantis or some other species? Hard to tell, really. And the question, whatever it is, must be, why? None of these examples seem to speak of any serious artistic endeavour, and consequently, I feel they demean the city of Canberra. The owl, for example, is simply a large block of stone. The wonderful texture of this bird's body and the inquisitive head...
She saw the penis owl and decided to touch it and comment on how wonderful the texture was.
No. She's saying that it's not a realistic enough depiction of an owl. She wants a more lifelike owl if they're going to have an owl.
Okay, she needs some more veins on that owl to make it more...
So it needs to be a really veiny owl, have some, like, just respectful amount of hair at the base of the owl, just like all owls have. Like, not messy, like trimmed, but, like, just a little bit.
Oh, no.
The wonderful texture of this bird's body and the inquisitive head with penetrating eyes is ignored.
Sorry, so she's talking about real owls when she says this.
I love that she, like, phallicizes the real owl, but doesn't get that the owl statue looks like a dick.
Like a real owl. the inquisitive head with its piercing eye.
No, Alison,
And
she said penetrating eyes. She used that word
penetrating
specifically.
eye.
With these
Oh
eyes,
no, it's even...
this owl with its fuck me eyes. I need the statue to look more like that.
Oh no.
Where is the artistic endeavour here? Hopefully these 3 particular displays are on a limited exhibition. So she does not like these arts, but for all the wrong reasons, and I adore it. It's delightful.
Yeah. So this is just a random writing a letter to the editor, to the Canberra Times.
Yeah, about how she doesn't like the dick owl because it doesn't look enough like a real owl.
Enough like a real owl.
Yeah, Well, yeah.
And she also wants this owl to be on display in the university campuses.
My personal preference would be if they made it look like a more realistic dick and then put it on display in the university campuses or in Parliamentary Circle. I think that would be more appropriate.
Well, yeah, it could be. It would probably describe, like, it could be seen as sexist or, like, some kind of harassment, but it also could be seen as, like, a statement about the current state of affairs on university campuses and our parliament.
Well, a fun, more gender-neutral one would be if you made it a big, floppy purple dildo instead. Just
Okay, yeah, that's fun.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's more, that's more gender neutral, I suppose.
And then have a little, like, strap-on at the base with just a little plaque attached to it that says, for those who are into that. And that's...
For those who are into it, no judgment, smiley face emoji.
For those who are into it, no comma judgment. It's 2019. Come on, guys. Be cool.
Smiley face emoji.
No winky face emoji.
But that might be seen as harassment if you put the winky face.
Oh, yeah, shit, true. This has got to be a very respectful, platonic, giant floppy dildo statue.
It's kind of that, the face that on some phones looks like it's a grinning, teethy grin. And on other phones, it looks kind of like it's going...
Yeah.
Yeah, it's got that emoji. But, depending on what phone you own, you look at the plaque and you see a different emoji.
I used to date someone who we had that situation where I'd always used that phone as like an awkward face, and I use awkward face emojis a lot.
I do too.
She thought it was a happy, joyous expression, which made a lot of the shit that I said to her very different in context. And I'm like, you put up with a lot of shit in this relationship, given that you thought I said all that wild shit.
with a big cheeky grin on your face.
Yep, and it's like, wow, you got a poor taste in men. I'm sorry, but
That's like, I feel like all the mobile phone providers should come together and consistently. They don't have to have the same emotion, but consistently agree on an emotion that's displayed by that particular emoji.
Oh my god!
Because sometimes I receive an emoji and it looks like really kind of negative on my phone, and then I'm like, is this how it looks on Apple? So then I have to Google that emoji to see like what it looks like on all the different softwares to see like if that, and same when I'm sending one that I think could be off, I have to Google what it's going to look like and then be like, okay, this looks acceptable in all the different platforms that this could be used on, so now I can go ahead and use this emoji.
I think instead of using the emotion emojis, we should just use like non sequitur emojis. So I think you should be like,
that's what I do too.
So I think you should message someone, be like, hey, how's work going today, wizard butt peach? And then they'll be like, oh, it's all right, my boss is really riding my ass. And then like a plane landing or something like that.
And then people can... then it's art, because then it's open to their interpretation, how they want to like interpret that plane landing emoji. And then you send something to your mum, and you're like, Mum, I'm sorry, I've got some bad news for you.
Eggplant,
and then
eggplant,
you put
eggplant.
That might be too much.
I'm sorry, Mum, Grandma's died. Eggplant,
eggplant.
eggplant.
You say, Mum, I've got some bad news for you. And then you put the ramen emoji in, like the noodle emoji.
Mum, I broke up with my girlfriend. Eggplant, eggplant, ramen, plane landing.
And then she's left to think, okay, so I know the eggplants, I know what they are.
That's a fruit.
But what do the noodles and plane landing have to do with this? So, that's up to your interpretation. And depending how dirty your mind is, you may interpret it differently.
Exactly. Do you have another story for me?
Yeah, well, let's do one last one from Australia, just to end the day.
I like that.
Because it is quite quite a short story, and it's just kind of a bit of a here's Australia for you. And so I'm reading this one from the Redland City Bulletin.
Sounds made up, but continue.
It does sound made up. But it is from the Australian Community Media or Daddy's News Network.
Daddysnews.com.
Daddysnews.com.
Give it some hits.
Voice of Real Australia.
Yep.
Perfect. And yeah, the story, there's not much to it, but we'll read the headline and a little bit into it, and yeah, maybe you'll enjoy it. So the story goes, carpet python takes shelter behind toilet in Cleveland home. And it's by Stacey Whitlock. And the picture is indeed a quite large python sitting behind a toilet next to the toilet cleaning supplies.
I think I've become very desensitized to these because I hear that and I'm just like, yeah, it sounds
well, at least
right.
it's not in the toilet.
It's not in the toilet.
It's not in the toilet.
When I was a youth, there'd be frogs in the toilet sometimes. That's not a joke. So, like, that would just happen.
Oh. Do you know, like, my nightmare with frogs in the toilet is that there will be a frog in the toilet and I won't know and I'll accidentally piss on the frog? Because I don't want to piss on a frog,
actually,
Chris.
Yeah,
it's not something that I want to do.
Going to be much worse for women, I guess, because you're not going to have the same visual angle that men would have.
No, because you're sitting down.
It's really like a sit of faith onto a frog.
Perhaps if you're like, you're busy, you're not paying much attention and you don't like glance into the bowl first and you sit down, you don't know if there's going to be a frog there or not.
No, and if it leaps up at you, you're going to leap into the air, and depending on whatever you were doing at the time, that could be a messy experience.
It would be a messy experience.
Frogs are dangerous, everyone.
Check your toilet for frogs, and please don't piss on frogs. It's not good for their skin.
No.
They will probably die.
Or
because,
your
they
dignity.
sometimes get, both of those things. PSA, don't piss on frogs. So this is the snake's not in the toilet, so I suppose in some ways it's a nice way to find one. So one Cleveland resident had a surprise visitor last week when a 1.5 metre long snake made itself comfortable behind her toilet. The resident was heading out the door when she stood on the carpet python, which then took the opportunity to slither inside and take shelter in the bathroom.
See, I think she was the rude one in this context.
Yeah, she just went right ahead and stepped on this little boy as he was basking outside.
It's a snake. It doesn't understand the concept of private property. It doesn't subscribe to this capitalist world view.
Perhaps the snake took being stepped on as an invitation to enter. Maybe that's how the politeness works in the snake
Snakes
world.
are very physical beings. Like, if you want to invite a snake into your hole, just like, that sounded different in my head.
I'm just going to read more.
Yeah,
the quick-thinking homeowner put the toilet seat down. Good thinking. And called Redland snake catcher Tony Morrison. He's back.
Yes. The snake man.
To be honest, that's why I went with this story.
Tony.
Tony's back.
He's the one who was planting snakes in houses, right?
Oh, yeah. Tony's like, I haven't had much publicity lately.
It's the snake conspiracy.
I love Tony Morrison.
I like that we've developed in this podcast a consistent world of characters. I feel like we've created our own little cinematic universe.
We have. And Tony Morrison is a big part of that.
Exactly.
The panther, the mysterious panther in the bushes, Tony Morrison.
Bushies for the last week or three. Party Jesus. Oh, I do love Party Jesus.
Yeah, Bushies have been a recurring character. But Tony Morrison, I thought we haven't heard from in a while, so he's back. This is what Tony said. I live right next to the bushland, so they're quite common around my house. That's the second encounter I've had in 2 months. Oh, no, this is the homeowner, I think. I don't know who it is. It doesn't say who it is, Chris. It just jumps right into the quote.
Because I was going to say, I would hope Tony lives near a snake-heavy area, because otherwise that's not very good real estate from a job perspective.
Here's the thing, right? This article is written. It said, Tony Morrison, who returned it safely to the bush. Full stop. I live right next to the bushland, so they are quite common around my house, she said. Which I assume is talking about the resident. But between mentioning the resident, we've got Tony Morrison's mention, and then we jump down to she said, and it's like...
Well, is Tony with a Y or an I?
It's with a Y. Tony Morrison is a man.
Tony is boy.
Tony is boy.
I don't know. I think it just might be a poorly written article.
I think it's just I think we're just going to move this Tony paragraph down after these quotes from the owner. But
To
Tony
whomever wrote
has to be
this.
mentioned in the...
Please listen to these editorial notes on structure.
Please. Redland City Bulletin, please hire me as the editor, the sub-editor, and I will... But I guess perhaps the problem is that Toni Morrison insists on being mentioned within the first 3 paragraphs of the article.
Yes.
He has to have his name mentioned that early if you're going to use his story. And so maybe the editor had to make a quick change to move Toni Morrison up in the story to make him more important.
I feel like when Toni Morrison poses for photo shoots, he makes lots of really creepy snake jokes. Like, he'll be like, oh, you want me to get my snake out, love? And he'll be like, ew, what? No. And he'll get, like, an actual python and wrap it around his neck. And he'll be like, oh, okay, right.
Thank gosh.
Okay, I thought we were going to have to talk to HR. Tony, please stop doing that.
Please stop. Tony, you do this every time.
He does, though. He doesn't stop. He's not great.
He loves this.
Also, he plants snakes in people's homes without their permission.
Yeah.
Which is several crimes.
Which is not ideal.
It's breaking and entering. Depositing of snake, that's 10 years for a snake deposit.
Depositing of snake.
That's a snake littering. That's a pretty big one.
Pissing on a frog, that's the number 1 crime in Australia.
But he also plants frogs in people's toilets so that he can blackmail people with the knowledge that they've pissed on frogs. And so,
not ideal.
He will plant he'll get a frog, he'll put a very small GoPro on the frog, he'll put the frog in the toilet, and at first you're like, oh, is this guy trying to, like, take a look at my pants? It's like, no, he's not. The camera is actually pointed at the frog. It wants to get the frog's, like, look of horror as it gets pissed on, so that can get shown in court.
Speaking of, like, things that we mentioned ages ago, this just came to my mind. Because we were talking about geckos and their pervy behaviour in one of our early episodes.
I think that was episode 1.
I think it was episode 1. And the thing is, I'm now, again, living in a country that has a lot of geckos. And the other day, I opened the fridge and a gecko ran out from my salad. And I was like, do I eat this salad after a gecko has been near it? I don't know if it was inside the salad, but it was certainly next to the packet.
Firstly, how does gecko get in fridge?
I don't know.
Does fridge have hole? I don't know how fridge works.
Perhaps.
Geckos should not... Aren't reptiles supposed to go in sun, not in cold? This is very confusing to me.
But I think perhaps the gecko went in there accidentally and then was like, oh, it's quite chilly.
Then it's like, fuck, I'm going to hide in this salad.
As soon as someone opened the door, it was like, I'm getting out of this frost box. And it ran right out.
Box.
And it enjoyed its life after then. So I am having a lot of gecko experiences again. And, you know, it is what it is.
Look, at least they're not looking at you in the shower anymore. That's something.
Well, yeah, I so far haven't had any geckos looking at me in the shower.
They're just eating your food, which really, I think if we talk about like how a relationship goes, that's usually the the process. It starts all sexy, and by the end, they're just eating your fucking food.
By the end, they're just like coming into your fridge without your permission and eating your salad that you were actually saving for later, that you needed that salad. Then
you walk into the room and they just run away. Just sprint out of the room, taking the food with them.
It's just sprint. Oh dear.
Oh my god. I'm a great boyfriend.
Yeah, that's what you do.
Yeah. Is there any more to the story?
No, not really. I just wanted to bring Toni Morrison back into the cinematic universe. That is our
appreciate
podcast.
That.
The RMCU.
Let's wrap that up. Let's wrap up this week's installment of the RMCU as the highest grossing installment. We've made $3 billion podcast episodes this year.
Yeah.
We're going to overtake Avatar very soon. It's super exciting.
Already overtaken Titanic. Overtaken
Titanic.
Good.
Crushed that shit. We own all of them, obviously.
Yeah, of course.
The top 5 highest grossing podcasts of all time are all owned by us.
All owned by the same company, but
super.
Produced under different names, you know. Anyway, that's grim. Grim state of affairs. Can we end with a headline this week? Because
totally.
I've got a series of headlines that I think I need to share.
Yeah, sure. Before we finish, follow us on Twitter or Instagram at RedMenacecast, Facebook at The Red Menace Podcast, and you can buy our sick merch at tpublic.com. Tell your friends about the show. We made $8 whole from T-shirt sales this week. So
yeah.
If you could, A, buy more shit, B, get your friends to listen so they buy more shit. I need money. I live alone in Sydney. It's expensive.
Fortunately, I live somewhere which is not expensive, so that's all right.
Yeah.
But you do most of the work. So, here it is. This is from NBC News in America. The first headline. Police officer says somebody took a bite from his sandwich at Indy McDonald's. Second headline. Update. Police officer forgot he took a bite from his sandwich at Indy McDonald's.
Final tangent. I like the idea of Indy McDonald's being like the cool hipster McDonald's where they sell weed because the police officer was high enough that he forgot about eating his sandwich. He took a bite,
He
took a toke,
bite and then
he toked on
rewrapped
it,
it.
and looked at back at his sandwich. He's like, "Oh, who broke my sandwich?"
Who bit my sandwich?
Thank you all for listening.
Thanks for listening.
Good luck and
See
good
you
night.
next week.